Thank you, Tim. I really appreciate being part of this project. It's been quite something. I think everything we've heard today depends on having free educational materials available for anybody. We should be able to share it, modify it, do what we need to do with it. We should be able to use the materials without being worried about the copyright issues. So open educational resources, the term is about 20 years old. The concept is older than that. David Wiley created the first of the licenses in the 1990s already, but the term came into being in the 2000s. Creative Commons are the licenses that underpin all of this, and there are now nearly 2 billion works around the world that carry the Creative Commons licenses. One of the reasons for having the need for this guidance note is that I have been hearing the terms an open license used at times, and this could cause confusion. We need to remember that there are 6 Creative Commons licenses plus the public domain. 4 of those 6 licenses are open licenses, and of course the public domain is also open as well. So we need to be very careful when we use materials that they carry the Creative Commons license, and make sure that everyone has that little license note on it, the CC BY or CC BY SA typically, and that has a link to the Creative Commons website. If it doesn't, you need to then be able to read the entire license and make sure that you understand fully what that license says. If it's an open license, if it's an open resource, the user will be able to download the work, and you shouldn't have to trade all your personal information for it either. You should be able to go to a website, download it, and save it on your computer. And that's an important step as well. You must have the legal right to save it and to be able to put it on your own server and to dish it out to other people as well. You need to be able to adapt these works. If I create a work in one country, it automatically needs adaptation for another country or another context. Once we've done that, we need to be able to share these resources. And that's important that we have that right as well. So if you want more information on that, in the guidance note, it'll refer to the 5 R's, and you'll be able to see more detail on those things. It's very important that when we use materials, we should not have to first go back to the author and get permission to make adaptations to works or permission to reshare those works. That's the whole point of getting a Creative Commons license. And with billions of works now available online, we should be able to do that without any problem. If the license limits us in any way, then that material is probably not safe to use. So the guidance note gives us the guide that usually funders or governments would insist on public money or funders' money, any materials created with those funds being given a CC BY, that's a CC with attribution license, or CC BY SA, that's CC license with attribution and share alike. So if you modify the work, you must share it alike with the same sort of license again. Both of these licenses would give the minimum required. You can also have a requirement for non-commercial, which essentially to most of us would mean a non-profit kind of license. But as soon as you have an ND and no derivatives on it, it's going to say to you that's not an open resource. It may be very useful, may be free, may be shareable, but you can't customize it. So therefore it's not called open. The guidance note gives those suggestions that we use those licenses, and that every government and every institution, these are universities, standardize on which license they're going to use normally and what process will be in place to use another license. If, for example, some piece of material, it's really deemed that it needs to have a no derivatives restriction on it, what is the process for adopting another license? Otherwise, every piece of material that comes out of the institution could have a different license, and that could cause difficulties. If we want to help people and make a difference in people's lives, we need to also take care of the copyright laws, because if we don't, then those of us trying to help other people might find ourselves at the wrong side of copyright laws, and that's not very pretty. So I really wanted to make sure that in this guidance note, we emphasized the need to check that we do use the Creative Commons licenses, the ones that are open, not the ones that are closed, and make sure that we don't get into licenses that anybody decides to create. Because if you come up with a somebody license, it's supposed to be shareable, you actually don't know what the legal code says in the small print. That tiny 8-point font that we have to worry about as well. So Tim, I hope we've managed to accomplish that one. Thank you.